Give me 6 hours to chop down a tree, and I will spend the first 4 sharpening the axe. And in the end, it is not the years in your life that count. It's the life in your years. Human action can be modified to some extent, but human nature cannot be changed. You can tell the greatness of a man by what makes him angry. We can complain because rose bushes have thorns, or rejoice because thorn bushes have roses. When you reach the end of your rope, tie a knot and hang on. Better to remain silent and be thought a fool than to speak out and remove all doubt. It has been my experience that folks who have no vices have very few virtues. Sir, my concern is not whether God is on our side. My greatest concern is to be on God's side, for God is always right. You cannot escape the responsibility of tomorrow by evading it today. You can fool all the people some of the time, and some of the people all the time, but you cannot fool all the people all the time. Most folks are as happy as they make up their minds to be. The ballot is stronger than the bullet. All that I am, or hope to be, I owe to my angel mother. I am a slow walker, but I never walk back. I am not bound to win, but I am bound to be true. I am not bound to succeed, but I am bound to live by the light that I have. I must stand with anybody that stands right, and stand with him while he is right, and part with him when he goes wrong. No man has a good enough memory to be a successful liar. I don't like that man. I must get to know him better. Government of the people, by the people, for the people shall not perish from the earth. Be sure you put your feet in the right place, then stand firm. I like to see a man proud of the place in which he lives. I like to see a man live so that his place will be proud of him. I will prepare, and someday my chance will come. When I do good, I feel good. When I do bad, I feel bad, and that's my religion. Always bear in mind that your own resolution to succeed is more important than any other. My dream is of a place and a time where America will once again be seen as the last best hope of Earth. Character is like a tree, and reputation like a shadow. The shadow is what we think of it. The tree is the real thing. How many legs does a dog have if you call his tail a leg? 4. Saying that a tail is a leg doesn't make it a leg. Don't worry when you are not recognized, but strive to be worthy of recognition. My great concern is not whether you have failed, but whether you are content with your failure. If this is coffee, please bring me some tea. But if this is tea, please bring me some coffee. I have always found that mercy bears richer fruits than strict justice. I do the very best I know how, the very best I can, and I mean to keep on doing so until the end. I am a firm believer in the people. If given the truth, they can be depended upon to meet any national crisis. The great point is to bring them the real facts. Do I not destroy my enemies when I make them my friends? The shepherd drives the wolf from the sheep's throat, for which the sheep thanks the shepherd as his liberator, while the wolf denounces him for the same act as the destroyer of liberty. Plainly, the sheep and the wolf are not agreed upon a definition of liberty. A house divided against itself cannot stand. As I would not be a slave, so I would not be a master. This expresses my idea of democracy. The highest art is always the most religious, and the greatest artist is always a devout person. No matter how much cats fight, there always seem to be plenty of kittens. Every man is said to have his peculiar ambition. Whether it be true or not, I can say for one that I have no other so great as that of being truly esteemed of my fellow men, by rendering myself worthy of their esteem. How far I shall succeed in gratifying this ambition is yet to be developed. Labor is prior to and independent of capital. Capital is only the fruit of labor, and could never have existed if labor had not first existed. Labor is the superior of capital and deserves much the higher consideration. Tact is the ability to describe others as they see themselves. Avoid popularity if you would have peace. The probability that we may fail in the struggle ought not to deter us from the support of a cause we believe to be just. That some achieve great success is proof to all that others can achieve it as well. You have to do your own growing no matter how tall your grandfather was. I do not think much of a man who is not wiser today than he was yesterday. The best way to get a bad law repealed is to enforce it strictly. Marriage is neither heaven nor hell, it is simply purgatory. No man is good enough to govern another man without the other's consent. He has a right to criticize who has a heart to help. Stand with anybody that stands right, stand with him while he is right, and part with him when he goes wrong. When you have got an elephant by the hind legs and he is trying to run away, it's best to let him run. Important principles may and must be inflexible. Gold is good in its place, but loving, brave, patriotic men are better than gold. I care not much for a man's religion whose dog and cat are not the better for it. We should be too big to take offense and too noble to give it. When I hear a man preach, I like to see him act as if he were fighting bees. Fellow citizens, we cannot escape history. We, of this Congress and this administration, will be remembered in spite of ourselves. No personal significance or insignificance can spare one or another of us. The fiery trial through which we pass will light us down in honor or dishonor to the latest generation. What kills a skunk is the publicity it gives itself. I don't know who my grandfather was. I am much more concerned to know what his grandson will be. The things I want to know are in books. My best friend is the man who'll get me a book I ain't read. With the fearful strain that is on me night and day, if I did not laugh, I should die. Towering genius disdains a beaten path. It seeks regions hitherto unexplored. A friend is one who has the same enemies as you have. I want it said of me by those who knew me best, that I always plucked a thistle and planted a flower where I thought a flower would grow. A woman is the only thing I am afraid of that I know will not hurt me. Never regret what you don't write. Standing as I do, with my hand upon this staff and under the folds of the American flag, I ask you to stand by me so long as I stand by it. 77 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty, and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. True patriotism is better than the wrong kind of piety. Let not him who is houseless pull down the house of another, but let him work diligently and build one for himself, thus by example assuring that his own shall be safe from violence when built. We here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth. To give victory to the right, not bloody bullets, but peaceful ballots only, are necessary. A man watches his pear tree day after day, impatient for the ripening of the fruit. Let him attempt to force the process, and he may spoil both fruit and tree. But let him patiently wait, and the ripe pear at length falls into his lap. Let's have faith that right makes might, and in that faith, let us to the end dare to do our duty as we understand it. Public sentiment is everything. With public sentiment, nothing can fail. Without it, nothing can succeed. Whenever I hear anyone arguing for slavery, I feel a strong impulse to see it tried on him personally. As our case is new, we must think and act anew. If we could first know where we are and whither we are tending, we could then better judge what to do and how to do it. If once you forfeit the confidence of your fellow citizens, you can never regain their respect and esteem. The time comes upon every public man when it is best for him to keep his lips closed. Knavery and flattery are blood relations. There is no grievance that is a fit object of redress by mob law. I never had a policy. I have just tried to do my very best each and every day. Books serve to show a man that those original thoughts of his aren't very new at all. Ballots are the rightful and peaceful successors to bullets. Common-looking people are the best in the world. That is the reason the Lord makes so many of them. I pass my life in preventing the storm from blowing down the tent, and I drive in the pegs as fast as they are pulled up. I can make more generals, but horses cost money. I know that the Lord is always on the side of the right, but it is my constant anxiety and prayer that I and this nation may be on the Lord's side. Everybody likes a compliment. When I'm getting ready to reason with a man, I spend 1/3 of my time thinking about myself and what I'm going to say, and 2/3 about him and what he is going to say. No policy that does not rest upon some philosophical public opinion can be permanently maintained. I have great respect for the semicolon. It is a mighty handy little fellow. Never stir up litigation. A worse man can scarcely be found than one who does this. If you think you can slander a woman into loving you or a man into voting for you, try it till you are satisfied. I have talked with great men, and I do not see how they differ from others. Don't swap horses in crossing a stream. There is another old poet whose name I do not now remember who said, "Truth is the daughter of time." Don't interfere with anything in the Constitution. That must be maintained, for it is the only safeguard of our liberties. I hope to stand firm enough to not go backward, and yet not go forward fast enough to wreck the country's cause. I am rather inclined to silence. The people will save their government if the government itself will allow them.